So I'm going to share with you today, guys, a little bit about a unique company and a radical innovator named Truett Cathy. So the company is Chick-fil-A. Truett Cathy, who's on the screen here, is our innovator. And my job is to set up a framework. So I'm going to tell you guys just a little bit about the company, because what we really want you to do is spend time with our local owner-operators. We've got some of the best operators in Chick-fil-A here, and we want you to hear from them, and you'll be able to ask them questions. So as I'm going over things about the company, think about what questions you might want to ask our owner-operators. I might suggest a couple of questions to you along the way, and then you'll have a chance to ask them questions as we go. Sound good? You guys ready to go? All right, so we're going to talk about the history, the culture of the company, and some innovation at Chick-fil-A before we get to our operators. So let's just talk about what's Chick-fil-A? What is it all about? So could you show me by a show of hands, and I'll have our operators turn around and look, who has been to a Chick-fil-A restaurant before? Wow. Thank you guys very much. Give yourselves a hand. That's amazing. That's amazing. Wow. Unbelievable. That's fantastic. Okay, so here's a little bit about Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is a quick service restaurant company in the United States. We've expanded a little bit beyond the United States now, and we're famous for our chicken products, our chicken sandwich, Chick-fil-A nuggets, Chick-fil-A strips. I don't know what your favorite products are, but at this point in time, our company has grown. It's grown slowly. It started in 1967, and now it's the largest chicken chain in the United States by quite a lot. Now, we don't have as many restaurants as some of the other competitors, but we'll get to how we're the largest chain in just a moment. Our company is headquartered in Atlanta. Our support center is in Atlanta, and our company is family owned. And the family that owns the company is still the Cathy family. So you remember I showed you Truett Cathy, who founded the company. He's passed on, but his family still owns and operates the business. So at Chick-fil-A, we are a franchise company. And I don't know if you guys are very familiar with the franchise concept, but what this means is the restaurant businesses locally all around the company are owned and operated by local franchisees, and we call them operators. This is Will Lowe on the screen. He's the operator of the Chick-fil-A near my home. And so our local operators run their own businesses. They employ, hire, and pay all of their own team members, and they make the decisions about how they're going to run their business locally day to day. So that's not run by one big company. And the magic of our business is really in this operator model that we have. We say at Chick-fil-A sometimes that the most important person to the business is our customer, because we don't exist without our customer. But the most important person in the business is our operator, our restaurant operator. We have a unique model, and one thing you might want to ask our operators about on the panel is to explain a little bit more about our model, what makes it unique, and how do they think it makes it better. So that'd be a good thing to talk about. Our company is also, for a quick service restaurant, we are very hospitality focused. And for us, that means we want to have fast service. We want to have friendly service. We want to show our customers that we really care about them. And we want our restaurants to be very, very clean and welcoming. So service is a very, very big deal at Chick-fil-A. In fact, we would say that hospitality is part of our brand. Have you experienced that at Chick-fil-A when you guys have been there? Like, do you feel you've had good service, clean restaurants? What about the employees? Did they smile at you, look you in the eye? Yeah. Just treat you like they valued you being there. That's what we want to see. I'm glad to see a lot of heads nodding. Carlos, I don't see anybody nodding their head this way. I hope that is always going to be the case. Okay, so a little bit more about our company. Like, how big is it? So we've got well over 200,000 people working out in the Chick-fil-A system in our restaurants. We just opened our 3,000th restaurant, and I don't remember where that's located. Do you remember where that one was, Carlos? Dallas, Texas is where our 3,000th restaurant opened, and we're in almost all of the states in the United States. And in the last few years, we've gone into Canada and we've gone into Puerto Rico, and that's been a very, very good move for Chick-fil-A. Those restaurants are doing Well, you might wonder, when are we going to come to Guatemala? Is anybody curious if we're going to bring Chick-fil-A to Guatemala? Okay, save that question for the operator panel and give it to Mr. Carlos. He'll handle that question for us. So that's a little bit of an overview about what Chick-fil-A is, how big it is, and all that good stuff. So we're going to move on now a little bit and talk to you about the history of Chick-fil-A. And I'm just going to give you a brief history of some of the more important things. And to really understand our company and its history, you kind of have to know the history of our founder, S. Truett Cathy. So I'm going to say a lot of times Truett Cathy or Truett, and I'm talking about the man who founded our company, the Innovator, that we're here teaching about this week in the seminar that we're giving. So Truett was born and he grew up in the Depression. He was in a poor family. His dad was gone, didn't live at home. His mother made ends meet by running a boarding house, basically, taking people into their house who would stay there for a day or a night or a week. Truett was a C student. Truett had a speech issue, but he had a lot of integrity and heart and values, which we're going to talk about. The picture that's on the screen now is a famous thing that happened with Truett is he used to go around his neighborhood when he was a little boy, pulling a wagon, a little red wagon, selling Cokes to people in his neighborhood just to make some money to help the family make ends meet. Truett served in the Army, in the U.S. Army in World War II. I don't know if you guys are as bad as United States students in history, but World War II ended in 1945, and Truett came back from the war, and he and his brother Ben opened a restaurant. It was a very small restaurant called the Dwarf Grill in Hapeville, Georgia, and that's a very small town right outside of Atlanta. It was on an intersection of highways, and so if you were coming from Tennessee or Atlanta and you wanted to go to Florida to go to the beach, you had to take a left-hand turn and go by the Dwarf Grill. So they opened this little bitty restaurant, and you might wonder, like, where did Chick-fil-A come from? How small was it when it started? So the Dwarf Grill had 10 stools at a counter and 4 small tables. So think about, do you guys have restaurants in Guatemala that are that small or smaller? Yeah, a lot of them. There's restaurants everywhere. They have a lot of potential. You never know what's going to happen. So they started out in a restaurant that looked a little bit like that. That's a picture of a recreation, and that's Mr. Truett sitting on the stool much, much later in our Chick-fil-A museum at the Corporate Support Center. So a big event happened in 1949. Truett's brother, Ben, got killed in a plane crash. And Truett had to make a decision. Did he want to continue to operate the Dwarf Grill? Because that operation was 24-hour a day, 6 days a week operation. They would cook all night. You know, what he had a gravel driveway that they put into the restaurant so he could go behind the restaurant and sleep. And if a customer pulled in at 2 o'clock in the morning on their way home from Florida, he'd hear the tires roll over the gravel and jump up out of bed, throw on his apron, and go and serve those customers. It was a very, very hard way to make a living. But Truett decided he was going to keep operating the Dwarf Grill on his own. So one thing we've shared with our group about innovation is that to be a good innovator or an entrepreneur, it's not going to be easy. It's always going to be hard. You're going to run into hard times and challenges, and you have to have a lot of perseverance. And Truett had perseverance, or we wouldn't all be here together today. So over time, Truett's business grew, and he built a bigger restaurant right there on the site, and he changed the name to the Dwarf House. So he had growth and he had success, but it wasn't huge success. And so we think about, like, what made our company go from the Dwarf House to Chick-fil-A and become a big national and international company. And to understand how it happened, you got to understand a little bit about Truett. So when Truett was a little boy, they had a assignment in class one day, and they had to pick a life verse out of the Bible that they were going to memorize and apply to their life. Truett chose Proverbs 22:1. Proverbs 22:1 says, "A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches." A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. And Truett lived this out in his life. He tried to have a good name in his personal life, in his neighborhood, and in his church, but he also worked to have a good name in his business. And for Truett, what that meant was he wanted to have relationships with his customers instead of transactions. He didn't want to just view them as someone he could get money from and, make a sale and make a deal. He wanted to get to know them. He wanted to know their family. He wanted to know how he could help them. He also was very kind to his employees and to his customers. Kindness was important to Truett, and he also was very generous with his customers and with his employees. One way he was generous was very early on. He tried to help team members who wanted to go to school but couldn't afford it by helping them with giving them money or giving them a scholarship. And today, we have a very robust program at Chick-fil-A called the Remarkable Futures Scholarship Program. I bet you guys are interested in scholarships. Is that a subject that would interest you? That might be something you might want to ask some operators in our operator panel about, is how that works and how much they've given away in scholarships and how much that's impacted the lives of their team members. That's just one thing that's still going on in our company that goes back to the very beginnings of Truett and who he was and how he did business. So Chick-fil-A. There's a picture of the Chick-fil-A sandwich. I guess if you guys tried the Chick-fil-A sandwich when you came to Chick-fil-A, right? So how did he go from a single restaurant to this chain of Chick-fil-A chicken restaurants? And the story is that, Truett, nobody else was selling a chicken sandwich. It just wasn't something anybody had heard of in the 1960s. But he developed that idea, and we're going to talk about in a minute how that came about. And he started a new company in 1967 called Chick-fil-A. The first Chick-fil-A restaurant was in a mall in the Atlanta area called the Greenbrier Mall, and the location was innovative, and we'll talk about that in just a minute as well. And Truett made a big decision when he started Chick-fil-A. The Dwarf House restaurant had always been closed on Sundays. That was important to Truett so that his team members could worship on Sunday if they wanted to, spend time with their family, or just have a day of rest and recuperation. And when we started Chick-fil-A, the shopping malls, do you think they wanted the restaurant to be closed on Sunday? No, they want the restaurant to be open. They want to attract people. They want to serve the shoppers that are coming there. But he made the decision that we were going to stay closed on Sundays at Chick-fil-A. And it wasn't an easy decision, but he said later many times, I heard him say this many times, it was one of the best decisions he ever made. And so today, Chick-fil-A restaurants we're still closed on Sundays, and hopefully we always will be. The current generation is very, very committed to that. Another thing that Truett focused on was hospitality and elevating the hospitality in our restaurants beyond what you would expect at a QSR. So for many, many years at our company seminars, Truett taught our operators that his expectation was if a guest was kind enough to say thank you to them, our employees should respond and not say, no problem, you're welcome, but instead they should say, it's my pleasure. So could you say that with me? It's my pleasure. Yeah, if I say thank you, we're going to say, let's do it again, it's my pleasure, right? And it just feels better and it elevates the experience for our customers. So we're going to play a couple videos for you, and this one is a collection of things Truett said over the years to our operators at our company meeting, and hopefully this will give you a sense of who he was.
I'm not sure what mediocrity really means, but to me it sounds like to me it's kind of a bad word, a word that I don't want to be associated with. I have no desire to be another McDonald's or Burger King or Kentucky Fried Chicken. I'd rather have one place and do a good job than have hundreds of places where 10% of them are not doing their very best. So I ask you to ask yourself, are you performing at your very best? And it's surprising the miracles that take place when we're performing at our very best. If I should ask you if you had a choice of achieving success or achieving excellence, which would you choose? There's a lot of people that achieve success, but generally success is only a temporary arrangement. Success comes and goes, but excellence endures when success moves on. What do you want Chick-fil-A to be? I want Chick-fil-A to be a great company, but you have to understand that a great company is a caring company. It's your responsibility to live up to the reputation that we tried to capture back in 1946 in treating your customer, treat them just like you'd like to be treated. We have a great opportunity to influence the lives of other people. And I would hope it would be for the influence of good.
Okay, hopefully that what you saw in the video gave you a sense of who Truett was and the kind of business principles that he espoused. So we're going to talk about two more things: the culture of the company and then some innovations at Chick-fil-A. And first with the culture, Truett, throughout his career, liked to base his business decisions based on biblical principles. And that started in 1946 at the Dwarf Grill. Truett believed that a lot of biblical principles were also good biblical principles. And we still believe that today. And in fact, Truett, when he was very aging, he went to the United States Congress and they asked him to give testimony about how to run an ethical business. And Truett talked about biblical principles, and he told the Congress people, I see no conflict between biblical principles and business principles. He saw no conflict. And in 1982, there was a financially hard time for the company going on. And Truett pulled his team away, and they were going to try to solve the whole problem. And they ended up deciding to discuss, why are we in business in the first place? And they talked about that for 2 or 3 days. And at the end of that retreat, what they came away with was the corporate purpose. The corporate purpose is on a rock outside of our support center to this day. And the Chick-fil-A corporate purpose, which is very important. If you don't remember anything else today, I hope you remember something about the corporate purpose of Chick-fil-A. It is to glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that's entrusted to us and to have a positive influence on all who come into contact with Chick-fil-A. And during one of our classes this week, one of our operators asked the class, what do you see in here about making money? What do you see in here about selling chicken? And they didn't see anything. It's about glorifying God by being a faithful steward of whatever we have and by being a positive influence on everybody we come into contact with. So that has been our corporate purpose since 1982, and it's not going to change. Today, we have some core values that come out of the corporate purpose, and they're on the screen now that you can read them. We're here to serve. We're better together. We have actually got a whole cheer about being better together now, so maybe we will teach you guys that at the end. We're purpose-driven, and we pursue what's next, which is in yellow because we're here teaching innovation this week, and we always want to pursue what's next at Chick-fil-A. And I will ask you this question. If you think about Chick-fil-A and all the success and the size that I've talked about, you would wonder, why would we have to innovate? Why would they want to change? Why wouldn't they just keep doing what they're doing and just make money? And the answer is partly stewardship, that we want to be a really good steward of what we have, which means we've got to innovate and change with the times. And part of it is competition and survival in business. So Dan Cathy was Truett's son. He was the CEO of the company after Truett. And he used to say something which I think is very important for you as business students or business leaders to remember, and that is, Dan would say, the world is always changing, and it changes fast. And if the rate of external change exceeds the rate of internal change, disaster is imminent. So we are always trying to innovate because we want to be good stewards of the business for our operators, for our team members, for our customers, and for the family. And so it's very, very important to us. So now we're going to watch, I think, another video. Is it in the... Hopefully this one you'll see the whole video. that'll give you a sense a bit about the culture of Chick-fil-A.
We cook, but we don't just serve sandwiches. We serve meals made from good ingredients, warm and cared for from the time they're cooked to the moment they're served.
We prepare, but not just a meal, an experience. Everything we do is with the greatest of care. A clean table, a pair of pickles laid on a bun just so. Our love is wrapped up in the little things, the in-between things that aren't said but are always felt.
We believe with all our hearts that kindness is a higher calling. We want to know people, to nourish them. We love seeing individuals, teams, and communities brighten lives by caring for others.
We build on a legacy of one man's pioneering spirit, his faithful stewardship, his vision that being your best requires hard work, that local ownership isn't just unique, it's the best way to do business, and that giving generously can help good to grow.
We are more than a restaurant. We're a home.
Where the hugs are just as tender as the chicken, the smiles just as sweet as the lemonade, and the conversations just as nourishing as the meal.
To those we serve, neighbors,
friends,
family.
We are Chick-fil-A.
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 I don't know if you guys noticed this in the video, but the word care came up quite a lot. The other video that at the end of it, Truett was being interviewed, and he was asked actually, what do you want your company to be? What do you want Chick-fil-A to be? And what Truett said was, I want Chick-fil-A to be a great company. But you have to understand that to be a great company, you have to be a caring company. And so in that video, you heard about caring and care over and over again. And that's a biblical principle, you know. Jesus said that we're to love others as we love ourselves, which means we need to care for others. So I'm not here saying that at Chick-fil-A we are the most caring company in the world, but that's our goal. That's our aspiration. We'll probably never be able to achieve that, but we want to be the most caring company in the world at Chick-fil-A. And that all goes back directly to Mr. Truett. It's kind of amazing when you think about it. So last subject, and then we're going to call our operators up here for our operator panel. I want to talk just a little bit about some innovations at Chick-fil-A. So at Chick-fil-A, we have a very large building called the Innovation Center. There's a picture of a sign at the Innovation Center that we have where we're constantly trying new ideas, new recipes, new ways to design restaurants, and on again. And again, Truett's son, Dan, Kathy used to tell us all the time that the museum of the future needs to be much, much bigger than the museum of the past. And that's another thing to remember as a business student. We got to think about the future. We got to prepare for the future and what's next. The museum of the future needs to be much bigger than the museum of the past. So I'm going to hit on a few innovations that we've had at Chick-fil-A real quickly. One of them is just that chicken sandwich. Well, like I said, nobody was serving a chicken sandwich in the 1960s. And the way this all came about was Delta Airlines was experimenting with its menu, and the Dwarf House was near Delta, and they were not doing well trying to get some new chicken products going, and they had extra chicken breast. And they asked Truett if he might want to do something with it, and so Truett bought it, and then he just experimented. He innovated with the way it was marinated, with the coater, with the way he cooked it, and finally got the product he wanted, experimented with a sandwich, and it was a big hit. So that was a situation where Truett took advantage of an unexpected opportunity. And he used to tell us all the time, be prepared to take advantage of unexpected opportunities. This is a picture of a sandwich we tried recently, an innovation, a Chick-fil-A sandwich with cauliflower. And we tested that. And it's just kind of one of the more out there examples of things that we try out at Chick-fil-A that we wanted to show you. It's actually quite good. It's not been launched nationwide. You never know if it may be, but it actually is a pretty good product, and it would help us if you think about maybe healthy trends in the market, or if something happened with chicken, or if we went into a new country where this was something they would want. So pretty cool innovation. True at putting the first restaurant in the mall was an innovation, because at that time, nobody had food in the malls because the mall owners did not want the smells and the sounds and maybe insects and things like that. So Truett had to convince the mall to let him put the restaurant into the mall. And then now, as you all know, every mall you go into, there's practically more food stores than there are stores to buy other things. But that wasn't the case in 1967. In our drive-thrus, if you ask our operators on the panel, how many cars in an hour can they get through their drive-thru, you will probably be pretty shocked. And one way that they're able to do that is that we've innovated with technology. We have people with iPads out in the drive-thru, interacting with customers every step in the way, breaking down the process to make it very, very fast, faster and faster. This is Doodles. Doodles used to be the mascot for Chick-fil-A, and every chicken company has a chicken as a mascot, right? Think about Pollo Campero, and Gallo's got a chicken even, right? But in the mid-90s at Chick-fil-A, we adopted the cows. And this is a marketing innovation. And so we had these cows, the renegade cows, going around telling people to eat more chicken. So these cows, by telling people to eat more chicken, they were trying to save what? Their hides. They're trying to save themselves. And this marketing campaign took off, and we're still using the cows in our marketing today. Another thing we've had to do to be innovative is explore vertical integration. So there were issues with our lemonade product. It's hand squeezed in the restaurants most of our history. There was boxes of lemons, trash everywhere, very hard work to squeeze the lemons. And so we actually started a lemon juicing company in Valencia, California, with robotics and all this high-tech equipment. And so now we produce all of our lemon juice in a company that we own, and we distribute it out all over the chain. It's improved consistency. It's made the team members' jobs easier, and that's been a real positive thing. And then one other thing I wanted to tell you is another aspect of vertical integration is we started our own supply and distribution and warehousing company called Chick-fil-A Supply. And that was because the existing supply chain companies just were not able to meet our needs in terms of demand and service. So we started our own company, and it's a new thing, and that is going on as well. But probably the most important innovation that Truett Cathy ever came up with, and probably the most significant thing, is our operator model. We have a franchise model that is different than other franchise models. In other franchise companies, it will cost a lot of money to buy into a franchise, maybe build a building, buy all the equipment. And Truett figured out he didn't want to do it that way. He decided he would make the cost of entry very low, and because he wanted to not just be able to select people who had the money or could get a big loan to build a restaurant business, he wanted to do business with people who shared the same values, who shared the same work ethic, and who shared the same care for others. And so we came up with a very unique operator model, and we've got really 4 of the best here with you today. So I'd like to ask our operators and our team to come on up, and we'll have our panel. And before we get into the panel, Mr. Carlos is going to have a few words for you guys and explain about the innovation course that we've been here teaching this week. So thank you guys very much, and hang on, it's only going to get better from here. Thank you.
We are honored to be at this university to share a little bit about a radical innovator, Mr. Truett Cathy, within Chick-fil-A. And he did his best, and he was a fruitful man, lots of innovations. And recently, Chick-fil-A, as we are pursuing what is next, has invested heavily to create a culture of innovation. And Chick-fil-A has several specialists and strategists within our corporate office that are teaching employees about innovation. So we are here because we were introducing students, some of the brightest students of this university attending our class, and we're going to see them later today. They're going to be presenting a final project. And I talked to my Chick-fil-A buddy. He's at Corporate Atlanta Innovation Center, Patrick Miles, and I asked him, hey, can you please give us a an encouragement to the students of UFM and tell us a little bit about innovation, a reminder, like a summary of what innovation truly is. So he sent this to me yesterday, and here he is talking to you from an office at the corporate center.
Hey there, friends. My name is Patrick Miles. I am an innovation strategist for Chick-fil-A, a soon-to-be global quick service restaurant, but obviously very popular in the United States. We sell the best chicken, but we do it with great service and hospitality. I believe that you're hearing about that from the team this week. Super excited that they're there to share with you the importance of creativity and innovation. This is what I get to do day in and day out, and what you're doing is super important. What you're learning is going to help carry forward your society, your community, and those around you to new heights, and that's super exciting. I'm going to share this with you. Walt Disney said this, said, know what they want and then go build it for them. Know what they want and then go build it for them. All right, so that leads me to this thing called innovation. And innovation is all about taking ideas and transforming them into value. So it's all about providing value to the people who you're thinking of. So the first things first is you need to go discover. Go figure out, who are you trying to impact? And what is it that they are trying to do in life? What are the goals they're trying to achieve in all the different things? Economically, socially, relationally, spiritually, physically. What are all the different things that they need to do? And then figure out what works for them and what is getting in the way. Go discover. To do discover, you're going to have to put on a couple different mindsets. So think about hats that you need to put on in order to go discover appropriately. So first, so important, put on your mindset of curiosity and think about the number of questions that you potentially could ask. Ask questions. In fact, the number of questions in this particular stage, you need to have more questions than statements. It is so important. Think about your target audience. And when you think about them, do so as if you are a beginner. So if I want to try to figure out how to enhance the drive-through experience at a Chick-fil-A, I'm going to go put on my beginner's hat and I'm going to say, I have never experienced this before. I'm not an expert. I want to experience this as if I'm brand new. And let your mind wander with curiosity about, well, what is this drive-through experience? How do I enter into it? How do I engage the staff members at the restaurant? What is the thing that I need to do in order to go through the drive-through? And just go through it in such a way that it is like a beginner, not an expert. When you do that, you're putting on humility to go listen and learn and understand from those around you. And you're going to build this thing called empathy. Empathy is super duper important. It's about understanding who you're trying to solve for. And there's no better way to do that than to actually go do what they do in the context of the problem you're trying to solve, right? There's this fancy term. It's called ethnographic. And what that means is just, it's the shared, lived out experience. So if I want to try to unpack a problem in the drive-through at a quick service restaurant, well, that means I'm going to go drive through the restaurant. I'm going to go live it out. But then I'm also going to go put on the staff uniform of the staff members who are serving in the drive-through. And I want to live out that experience. It's not just asking questions. It's not just focus groups. It's not surveys. It's actually going to experience what they experience. And again, your mind is going to open up to what is the root of the issue. When you get through all of that, you're going to define the right problem to solve, right? Once you define that problem, you're going to have this, how might we refine this drive-through experience, this question? And that is gold. That gold, that how might we, right? leads you to this. This is fun. This is when you get to throw out ideas, as many as you possibly can, because when you're trying to ideate, it's about the quantity. So there's a study that says you need 2,500 ideas in order to produce one good quality idea. 2,500 meh for one inspirational, motivational, impactful idea. So collect ideas as much as you can, and to help you make them even more creative and unique, implement the yes and. The yes and is all about how do you add to somebody else's idea by contributing or enhancing their idea with something else. And you do it over and over and over again with a group of people, and suddenly your one idea that was launched at the very beginning blooms kind of like a flower bouquet into a huge, beautiful piece of work that is an enhanced idea that you never would have thought of on your own. It takes the unique ingredients that each one of you has inside of you based on your experiences. And when you mash them together, you're going to create some incredible ideas. Now, once you have those ideas, you need to ask yourself, which of these ideas is going to help that target audience solve the problem and build what they need and what they want. All right? So you have to do a little bit of evaluation, and eventually you'll need to select a couple to go build it, go develop, right? And as you go build these new solutions, here's the most important thing. When you first build it, go kiss it. Kiss it. Keep it simple, silly. Keep it simple. You want to go build it with cheap, inexpensive material and just build it just enough that you can tell the story. So use Lego, use pieces of paper, foam core, anything that's really inexpensive that you can mash together to get the idea across. And then go share it and go listen to what the people would engage with it, what they would have to say. And then you're going to do that over and over and over again. Build it, go share, tell the story, and listen. Capture that feedback, refine it, go build it again with a little bit more enhancements. Share it, refine it, build, share, refine. Do it over and over and over until the solution that you've created, you know it works. It's not, do we think it'll work? You've iterated enough times and you've shown it enough times that you know it works. And if you know it works, then the last step is go make it happen. Deploy it. Go implement this new solution and let the world be better for it. But keep in mind that once you build it and deploy it, it's gonna probably impact other people. So think about it from a systems level. When I put this into the world, what will change? What will it impact? Will it have a positive impact, a negative impact? What do I need to do to understand that when I implement this solution, there's going to be other things that are going to be impacted? Use all of that together and go change the world.
I'm going to ask our operators to introduce themselves briefly, and then here's the question. What's one more thing about Chick-fil-A we haven't talked about today that you would love to share with these students? We'll start with Mr. Carlos.
Absolutely. So Carlos Mayen, originally from Guatemala. I have 2 Chick-fil-A restaurants in Los Angeles, California. My wife right here behind every great operator. I have a great wife, so Carolina is here with me today. And let's give her a hand, guys. Okay, hand, my wife. So for me, as a Guatemalan, my prior career, I was a professor at New Mexico State University. I love to study, so I have 2 master's degrees, a PhD in agribusiness. So that was the next thing to do, to teach. But deep inside, I've always wanted to have a business. And I knew it was going to be Guatemala, right? Coming back to Guatemala, open a business. But we had an unexpected opportunity. We were not ready. We did not plan for it, but we had been preparing for it. My wife started working at a local Chick-fil-A while I was studying, and she became a manager. Then she became the franchisee of the Chick-fil-A. And we got to know a great family and a great business. As time progressed, we have 2 daughters came along, and our life became more complicated living in the US without family support. So I said, I would love to be an operator. This is a great opportunity. My wife wants to stay home. I want to pursue owning a business. And Chick-fil-A has a great name, has a great business opportunity. And I was selected to open up a business, first in Azusa and then in Glendora. And this has provided me an opportunity to execute my mission, which is to grow a business by growing and developing leaders, servant leaders that do good stuff.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jacqueline, and I'm a restaurant leader in Houston, Texas. And so I had the pleasure of growing up with a dad that's an operator that couldn't be here with us on this trip. And so as soon as I graduated from college, I started working for him, went through multiple positions before I am in the position I am now as an executive director. And I actually just began my path to applying to become a franchisee. And so this is my second life-shaped trip, first time ever to Guatemala, and I've absolutely loved it. And it's been quite an experience.
Guatemala! Hey guys, I'm Johnny Green. I am from Baltimore, Maryland, just outside of DC. I've been an operator for going on 6 years now. Unlike you good folks, I didn't have a start right after high school to go into college. I decided that, like Truett, my grades weren't super good, so I decided to go into the United States Marines. I did that for a while, and then I did 30 years of law enforcement. The important for me is that Chick-fil-A allowed me, when I was looking for a business outside of the government, I saw that Chick-fil-A was one of the only franchises that did not put profits ahead of people. They focused on people, growth, and part of my job is I was parole commissioner before coming into Chick-fil-A, so I was in and out of the prison systems. I was dealing with folks who were incarcerated for life, a lot of them, who were juveniles. They were 16 or 17 years old when they committed their crime, when they took someone else's life, so the system put them in for the rest of their life. So what I wanted to do was get into a position where I could help steer people, young kids, away from that lifestyle of the gangs and the drugs and things like that. So that was my focus, and Chick-fil-A allows me to do that by bringing in young people into my store and kind of pouring into them. So it's just a great journey that they've been giving me the opportunity to have.
My name is Rob Taylor. I'm a Chick-fil-A operator. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Maureen. She's our photographer. And she has been with me. We've been married now coming up on 45 years. And we have 4 daughters, we have 3 son-in-laws, and we have 9 grandchildren. So it's an incredible time in our lives to be here. This is our first time in Guatemala, and it's just exceeded expectations. I've been a Chick-fil-A operator in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where we have mountains and snow. Does everybody know what snow is? Does anybody ski, snowboard? You know? We have been there, and I've been an operator for 37 years. So probably all that before any of you were born. I had 1 mall restaurant, then I had 2 mall restaurants, and then Chick-fil-A started building freestanding units outside the mall, and I got a freestander, and then I gave up a mall, then I got another freestander. So I ended up for about 15, 16 years, I had 3 Chick-fil-A restaurants. Now in the last 6 years, I've given 1 back, and I have 2 Chick-fil-A's. Within my restaurants, I have almost 300 employees, or we call them team members. And so it's been an incredible journey. I'm actually getting ready to retire. I'm going to be leaving Chick-fil-A after 37 years at the end of the year. So it's a bittersweet time for me. I still love what I do, and but it's time sometimes, you know, to move on, and you want to finish on top. So we're having the best year we've ever had. So that being said, I just thank you for this opportunity to be here.
So thank you, Mr. Rob and Ms. Maureen, for 37 years of, is it 37 it'll be? Yeah, 37 years of service. So who has questions for these wonderful operators? Just raise your hand.
First of all, congratulations. I really like the presentation. My question is, I'm very curious of what is the process of hiring new employees and how you make sure that the new employees are keeping on track of what they're learning, of what they learn, of how they keep on track on new employees.
Chick-fil-A, we sell the same products. We open typically the same hours per day. We're closed on Sundays. But Chick-fil-A gives us some liberty, some freedom to take care of our people. I do all the hiring for my people. We train our people. We engage our people. And we want to create a great culture. That's where innovation comes. So when I look for great team members, starting, most of my team members are very young. They're between 18 and 25 years of age. My two general managers are 24 and 25 years of age, very young people. So what I'm looking for in my people, when I'm hiring, I'm looking for four things. First of all, we look at the mind, someone that has a growth mindset, someone that's willing to learn and grow, someone that has a posture mindset of humility. So I'm looking for humble leaders. I'm also looking at, in terms of the heart, I'm looking at people. In terms of the heart, there's two types of people. The ones that serve others and the ones that serve themselves. We hire the ones that love serving others, what we call servant leaders. In terms of the hands and the feet, when I hire people, I see them the way they walk when they're coming into the restaurant. There's people that are looking down, walking slow, maybe not nicely dressed, out. You're not working with me. We're a quick service restaurant. So I tend to focus on the people that are walking with purpose, right? Looking straight ahead, walking fast, with personal excellence. That's what I love hiring. In terms of how they look, I'm looking for other four things. That when they're talking, they're looking at me. They smile a lot, right? That's their natural environment. When they speak, they're speaking enthusiastically. They have a joyful life, because I think that we can change the world by just sharing a beautiful smile and saying, "Welcome to Chick-fil-A." So that's what I'm looking for. And I think the rest, we can help them grow and develop, and for them to learn how to make a chicken sandwich and how to take orders. And the progress goes from there.
Ditto, ditto, ditto. The other thing that we're looking for, we have a certain culture at Chick-fil-A, and Kelly has already done a great job telling you about our culture and our core values. Every one of you have something that you believe in very strongly and are passionate about. When we do the interviews, we look for all those things. But the other thing that I'm looking for is, does your core values match with ours? Do you understand? If it doesn't, we're probably not going to change you. We can train you on how to cook chicken. We can train you how to run a register, but I can't train what's in your heart. It's already there. So make sure that when you're looking for a career or a job, that you align yourself and look at the culture and the values of a company that you want to be associated with. And if you find the right one, it's probably going to be a very good fit.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for being here. And I think you answered a lot of my question with the last one. But I'm very curious, and maybe more in particular for the DC and LA operators, with how your values and your fundamentals that obviously translate so much into your operation have become, unfortunately, so controversial. How have you run into any problems with your team and with stakeholders in general? And how have you managed that, if so?
Yeah, when we talk about our values, right, we love people. We are in the people business, and we love to care for people, love on them. And I think that's very universal. People, all of us, need love, need care. So I don't think our values vary with any culture, with any type of people, because we're a hospitality business. And our job is to provide a refreshing meal, a craveable meal, a refreshing drink with smiles. And that is our focus, on loving our customers that come, loving on our team members that come, respecting them, and giving them what they want and more. We have a concept, right? For example, you talk about values. We talk about the idea that, hey, I think we can meet expectations at Chick-fil-A, right? What people expect. We can meet those expectations, but sometimes we go even farther. We go the second mile. We go a second mile for them. So I've had no issues at Chick-fil-A having diverse employees because they need love. And I've had diversity of employees. I have anything and everything represented from Los Angeles works in my restaurant. And I've never seen any conflict, even with the guests that I serve.
Yeah, I would ditto that. We meet people at the door, and we have team members of all diversities. We have some who identify other than what their birth certificate says they are. We have some who've transitioned, Black, white, Hispanic, Asian. So for us, I'm a quote unquote minority as well, right? So I've been in their shoes many times, right? So growing up, where I grew up in Maryland, some of the areas I lived in were predominantly Caucasian locations. So I've had to kind of figure that out as well as a young man. So I want to make sure that those folks who come in my restaurant who want to work with us, dine with us, feel comfortable being there. We don't do it because we feel we have to do it. It's just a godly thing to do. And like I said, we meet people at the door, so I don't care if you walk in and you're looking a certain way. Obviously, we want you to be professional, obviously, but I'm not going to turn you away just because you're different than what the community is available in our community, basically. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Cindy, your next question?
Yeah, hi. This week I was making a little research about you guys, and I stumbled upon this headline. Chick-fil-A ranked #1 for customer satisfaction for the 9th straight year. So my question would be, do you feel a sort of responsibility to keep that standard for the Chick-fil-A name? And what sort of metrics or how do you measure that you're giving away the Chick-fil-A standard on your service on each of your restaurants?
Every morning I get an email from both of my restaurants and I look at metrics. Chick-fil-A is all about metrics. I have numbers for everything: customer satisfaction, profitability, sales. Oh man, number of cars I do in every minute. I have a bunch of data on my phone. So for example, one of them is customer satisfaction, overall customer satisfaction. We have a methodology of asking our customers to rate us on different areas, and I can measure how we're doing. And I can troubleshoot, I can make things better, change things better in my restaurant so that we can add value to customers, right? I'm not extremely focused on being #1 customer satisfaction. I just want to do the best for my customers. I want to make sure they have a great experience and they feel valued so they can go back tomorrow and they come back the next day and maybe even breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because that's the people that I love serving. So then all the scores, they come because of that. I think I'm focused on my restaurants. I want to be the best that I can, create the best service. And I think then those ratings are, I would say, awards that we get is a result. It's a lagging indicator of things that happen in the restaurant. I want to be the best that I possibly can. So it's internally, there's a desire to be the best that you can. And I think if we continue to do this, we're going to continue innovating, getting better each day to continue to get these awards every year.
Yeah, and I think that everybody that works at Chick-fil-A has that desire to be the best that they can be. And so we have a strategy of winning hearts every day. And so in that encompasses genuine hospitality, clean and safe environment, fast and accurate service, and great food. And so if you're working within all 4 of those categories and trying to be the best that you can be, that's how we hold our standards to what everybody expects us to stay and maintain.
Anybody else?
And let me just say, you just brought up a great point that Kelly brought. A good name is to be more desired, right, than great riches. Not only a personal name, but the Chick-fil-A name. Truett, we owe it to him. We honor him by every time we show up to do what we do. And the other thing that we do, I think, is we don't compare ourselves to anybody else. That's a good lesson for all of us. Quit comparing yourself. Be the best that you can be. There's a saying that comparison is the thief of joy. And when I was a young operator, I'd start comparing myself to another operator or other, and I thought we did good, and all of a sudden I'd go, oh, I didn't do as well as that other operator. It took the joy out of me and my team, and I realized I'm going to quit doing that. I'm going to do what Carlos just said. I want to show up, and we're going to be the very best that we can be today. And so Chick-fil-A, we don't compare ourselves to any other. We just be the very best that we can be, and it seems to be working. Yes.
Thank you so much. Do we have another question? Okay.
Hello. So one of the things that we heard was about the franchise and that it has lower cost than any others. So my question is, what are the other requirements, and how hard is it to buy it in, and how long does it take to open it, then to build it and develop it to the operational level?
I'd be happy to. Yeah. So the length of time to develop a Chick-fil-A restaurant varies from location to location. You know, we have 50 different states, and a lot of cities, there's a lot of regulations. Deals take different amounts of time to close. Once we have got a lease on the land or own the land, though, we're able to generally build those buildings pretty quickly and move along. That's one thing I think the Corporate Support Center has done very well. To become a Chick-fil-A franchisee, the franchise fee is only $10,000. And the franchisees rent, or lease is a word we would use in the United States. They lease the building, the land, and the major equipment from Chick-fil-A. So they pay Chick-fil-A Inc. rent on that. So it's a $10,000 fee to get in, and everybody sees that. And then we have lots and lots of people. They want to be part of Chick-fil-A. They want to take advantage of that opportunity. The problem is, I think Mr. Johnny was sharing in one of the classes that the year he was selected, there were 60,000 people who applied to become a Chick-fil-A operator. And what did you say?
104 were selected.
Only 104 were selected. Sometimes we hear other people say that it's harder to get into CFA, the Chick-fil-A, than the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. So I don't know if that's true or not, but we've heard other people say that. But yeah, hope that is responsive to your question. Do you guys have anything to add?
Yeah, and also, so it's a very process. So unlike other places, if you have the money and you have the resources, you can get in. This is a lot harder. So it took me 16 months from the time of my first application. There's multiple layers, multiple interviews, and you go through these phases. So I think on average it's about 2 years, give or take. It all depends on where you want to go. If your location is, hey, I want to be locked in just to Texas, and you may have a longer drive or a longer time frame to get through the system than someone who says, well, I'll take, Florida, Jersey, California, if you have, more options that you're giving Chick-fil-A. But one thing that was just curious to me is that, I tried to do all this study and all this research so I could be prepared for all these interviews, and, I'm trying to find the history. And unlike a corporate business, publicly traded business, I should say, where there's a lot of public information, there's not as much information in a privately held company that you can find out on the internet. So I was surprised when they were really focused on asking me questions about me. I'm doing research about Truett and how long Chick-fil-A's been around and the number of chicken sandwiches sold. And they were like, well, John, tell me about your family. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and how's, your wife? And, just things like this, really basics. But they really want to get to know the operator because it's a relationship. It's not just a transaction.
Well, it only took me maybe 8 to 9 months. But when somebody first told me about Chick-fil-A, I just laughed because I'm like, a fast food restaurant? I would never work in fast food. I went to school to be a music teacher. But anyway, I was in the restaurant business. So I said, no, thank you. But then I realized, oh, this is exactly what I want. And then I applied, and then I got turned down. I got told no. And I was like at the bottom of the list. And what I did is I called Chick-fil-A every week for 9 weeks. And the 9th week, they called me and said, okay, we're going to talk to you again. And here I am 37 years later. And I guess the lesson I want to share with you is never say never. I never will work in Chick-fil-A. No, that's not true. And perseverance. If you find something you really want and there's a dream there, keep pursuing it. Don't give up.
Thank you so much. More questions, Cindy? Great.
Yes, so first of all, thank you for being here. And talking about new places, I think I have the most important question here, which is, when are you opening your first restaurant in Guatemala?
I'll take the answer. If you want to know, you need to take our class next year, okay? Then we'll tell you. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. No one knows. No one knows. What I can tell you is that Chick-fil-A has recently moved to Puerto Rico. So they're understanding the culture, the Hispanic culture. They have menus in Spanish. I think they've even changed the menu a little bit to cater to Hispanics in Puerto Rico. So they're learning a lot about the Hispanic market. They're in Canada. I know they're about to expand over to Asia. So they're coming. They're coming. Tell your family they're coming. Be ready. But I'm not sure when. So take the class. If you like our Chick-fil-A sauce, take the class next year, right, guys? We gave you some Chick-fil-A sauce for you to enjoy. So, yeah, it is fun. So sorry, I don't have a clear answer for you, but it's coming sometime. I don't know when.
I was waiting for that question. Thank you, Carlos. Next question, Cindy.
Yeah, I've got one. So first of all, thank you for your time and for your experience. Sharing your experience is very valuable to us. Personally, one of the things that spiked my interest was the scholarship program that you talked about. I have a scholarship here at UFM, and I value so much the fact that, well, somebody's paying for my education and somebody cares for me. And that's something that you value too. And I wanted to see if you could talk us through the process. For example, what's the role of the operators in the scholarships program? How do you choose the people who are going to be given the scholarship and everything that has to do with it?
Well, first of all, I applaud you. You probably have a scholarship because you're a bright kid. People know there's a bright future ahead for you, and I applaud you for that. Okay, that's amazing. Can we give him an applause? And in my case, it was a scholarship that sent me to the U.S. to study. I love to study. I kept good grades, and that was my desire, is to learn more. And so they gave me an opportunity. At Chick-fil-A, this last month, I gave away 57. Well, Chick-fil-A gave me the money to give away 57 scholarships. So 57 of my employees got a check for $2,500. Schooling is a little cheaper, some schools over there. And so I gave away about $100 and some $1,000 for my kids. And that's based on, they have 3 criteria, right? Grades, how well you're doing at work, and your community service. What are you doing in your community to make it better? And we have a program, right? I mean, we have thousands of applicants. I'm not sure how many total were given away, but I mean, thousands of students all over the US were able to get a scholarship for $2,500. And there were 12 students that got, employees that got a $25,000 scholarship. I think Chick-fil-A knows that we have a lot of young kids working for us and they want a bright future. We just want to be part of this journey. I think at Chick-fil-A, we prepare them for a better future. We're building leaders. Some of these kids are going to school in the morning or at night, and they work with us. And in my case, they start growing, right? There's a growth path. And they work hard to learn how to lead themselves first, right? Exercising, reading great books, making themselves better. There's 4 levels of leadership. Then they become a team leader. They can lead a team. And my general managers, they lead an organization. So it's a process, a growth process for you how to learn to lead yourself, lead others, lead a team, so that you can become a leader of an organization. So I have a 25-year-old and a 24-year-old who are managing a multi-million-dollar business with 100 employees each, and they're 100 years. So imagine, they want to be operators, and I think they're on the right path to become Chick-fil-A operators, but if they don't make it, they're going to be great leaders in the bank industry or any other industry because they're so bright. They are servant leaders that work hard, listen, and ask a lot of questions.
Excellent. Well, we're running down on our time. So as we prepare to close, I think I'm going to conclude with one question. I'd like to direct it to Mr. Rob Taylor, who's been with Chick-fil-A for so long. I think, like me, work with Truett Cathy directly. Rob, if you have a final word to share with our group here today, particularly maybe something related to Truett or just something that you've learned in all your years in business, if you might share it as we prepare to let these guys go.
I started back before the Earth's crust hardened, when there were dinosaurs, but What I value most in my beginnings was the relationship that I had with Truett. We had Truett, Kathy, and his sons in our home for dinner, and that was a very special time. What you see and what you've heard about this man, he's a real thing. He's authentic. He is who we say he is. I miss him. And we all have a responsibility to continue to hold his name up high and to do what he asked us and he trusted us to do. Be faithful stewards. Be positive influences and glorify God in all that you do. So I'm thankful that I've been able to do that. And so a couple of things I would just leave with you that he left with me is to do your very best. No goal is too high if you climb with care and confidence. Start where you are. Use what you have and do what you can.
Okay, I really love what Mr. Rob said about doing what you can. And as someone who's been probably 30 weeks in Guatemala over 11 years in some very, very areas of very poor people here, you know, I'm so encouraged that you're here. There's a lot of need in your country. But if you kind of think about your business career as you become successful and you get out there, if you have a purpose and you do what Mr. Rob said, to do what you can, you guys have the power to really change Guatemala. You have the power to unite Guatemala. You have the power to help somebody else, even if it's just one person, and lift them up. And that's what Mr. Truett and his family have done for all of us. And we're very, very grateful. So I love the way that you ended, Rob. We want to thank you, and Ms. Carolina is going to have a closing word.
Thank you, Kelly. I just want to say thank you again. We've had the honor of working with you guys by Zoom and Meet for 3 years, but it's been a pleasure. We remember the first time we spoke, it just clicked, and it's been so easy to work with you guys. I said it at the beginning, but they generously come here with an open heart and all their time here to Guatemala to give you students sharing this experience and inspiring us. So I was telling Sandy that I can see clearly that Chick-fil-A is so big and so successful because people like you are in the business and that are deeply committed with the values and the philosophy of the company. So, and with what Truett inspired. So thank you again. We cannot thank you enough. It's been a pleasure, and we hope to have you here next year. A big applause, friend.